Eventually, as always, the sweltering summer has arrived. Today, I've prepared something for you who are battling the scorching heat. A summer horror special. Ghost Three Kingdoms, Korea, China, Japan. Do you enjoy horror movies? Western horror films often depict malevolent spirits, serial killers, or monsters. But Asia is a bit different. Here, the 귀신, ghost, takes center stage. Today, I invite you to delve into the world of ghosts from the 3 Northeast Asian countries where I live: Korea, China, and Japan. Though these 3 countries may seem alike, they are vastly different. Even their ghosts are different. Surprisingly, by examining these diverse ghosts, you begin to see each nation's history, culture, and social structure. Are you ready? Then, let's begin. A sorrowful woman's voice echoes through the night. In a Joseon-era village, every Sato who takes office dies of a heart attack, terrified by a woman in a white hanbok who appears nightly. Then, one day, a very brave Sato arrives. Sure enough, the woman in white appears. Sato, Sato. But this Sato doesn't faint. He calmly listens to her story. I died unjustly. Please release my Han. To release her Han, the Sato investigates the murder case. When people think of Korean ghosts, the first image that likely comes to mind is the female ghost dressed in white hanbok, with a pale face and long black hair flowing. They are always weeping sorrowfully, because they died without ever resolving their Han. Han refers to deep emotional wound, rage, sorrow, or a wish that remains unresolved in one's heart. Traditionally in Korea, ghosts are often symbolized by female spirits. But why does Korea have so many female ghosts? Korea, being a Confucian and patriarchal society, offered women very few ways to express or resolve their injustice, so they died with Han, becoming ghosts. There's a Korean proverb that says, "When a woman holds onto Han, even frost falls in May." This means if you wrong a woman, nature-defying things may happen. But these ghosts aren't just scary. They are the rage of the oppressed, a social warning, and a symbol of harm. In that sense, the female ghost is not just a horror figure, but also a reflection of women's unjust stories and Korea's social shadow. There's another interpretation. Stories like the Arang tale, where a nobleman listens to a female ghost's plea and helps release her Han, may have been created to highlight the power and virtue of elite men in society. Thus, the female ghost stories passed down through generations reveal the underside of Korea's male-dominated past. But in truth, Korea's ghosts aren't only female. In Korean tradition, ancestral rites are important because it's believed that the dead become gods after years of spiritual cultivation, watching over their descendants. It's also believed that when someone dies unrested, their spirit can affect the living. Another Korean belief, if a ghost lingers with Han for too long, it transforms into an evil spirit. These aren't just sad ghosts anymore. They possess humans and destroy lives, as if returning the pain they suffered. Even today, in modern life, sometimes things happen that seem beyond human understanding. When I was in elementary school, there were rumors that a ghost haunted the fifth stall of school outdoor bathroom. One day, my friends and I were talking about it, and I wanted to confirm in myself. I was the class president then, so I think I wanted to show my bravery, I declared, I'll check it out myself. Don't worry, guys. And boldly opened the fifth stall door. There, a little girl was sitting on the floor with her back turned. I froze. Then she slowly began to turn her head toward me. Before our eyes could meet, I screamed and ran. To this day, I still remember her short-cut hair and her bag. Another time, I was about 20 years old. I woke up in the middle of the night in my room. When I looked to the side, there was a man lying next to me, his body glowing blue. I had a strong feeling he wasn't human. He slowly began to turn his head toward me. Terrified, I instinctively thought, I must pretend I didn't see him. I quickly turned my head away. My heart was pounding like crazy. Then, after a moment, I cautiously looked there, and he was gone. He was gone. That night, what was scarier than the ghost was my own laziness. At that time, I was tired and annoyed, so I didn't get up. And then I went back to sleep. But it was really scary, Okay, so let's move on to China. If Korea's ghosts are centered around the emotion of Han, China's ghosts are deeply tied to desire, ideology, and power. The most iconic Chinese ghost figure is the femme fatale ghost. They usually appear as stunningly beautiful women with seductive looks and eyes that seem to read your soul. They gently open a man's door at night.
Sir, are you feeling lonely all by yourself?
These ghosts are often seen as fallen beings, spirits who failed to reach enlightenment or were punished by heaven. They seduce scholars, comforting their loneliness and whispering love, while slowly stealing their souls. In truth, these ghostly women were created not as real ghosts, but to fulfill the fantasies and desire of male scholars. Another famous Chinese ghost figure is the Jiangshi, hopping zombie. With their arms outstretched, they hop around eerily. Jiangshi legends come from Qing dynasty folk practices of preserving and transporting corpses. They are more like zombies than ghosts. But thanks to 1980s to 90s Hong Kong cinema, Jiangshi are now seen more with nostalgia and humor than fear. In those movies, Jiangshi are confronted by Taoist priestess, usually accompanied by young boys. These priestesses use spells and kung fu to seal the Jiangshi again.
Help! 你吃饭了吗?
Chinese ghost stories often contain philosophical messages. What is real and what is fake? Who is human and who is the monster? Sometimes, ghosts try to become human by seeking enlightenment, and sometimes, humans lose themselves in desire and become beasts. China's ghosts are also closely linked to the ideology of the state. The rage of the oppressed under an emperor's regime would sometimes appear as monsters or omens of rebellion. So Chinese ghosts aren't just spirits. They are metaphors for desire, chaos, and power. China today is very different from the past. But what kind of ghost might represent today's silenced anger and longing for freedom? Now, let's go to Japan. Japanese ghosts are horror itself. The ghosts we often associate with Japan, like Sadako, come from the concept of jibakure, in Korean, jibangnyeong, spirits bound to a certain location. They are born from tragic death, unresolved regret, or powerful grudges. These spirits appear in Korean shamanic beliefs and modern culture too, but their impact is strongest in Japan. Japanese ghosts are usually uncompromising. We don't know why they appear, what they want, or how to make them go away. This is what makes them scarier than Korean ghosts. Korean ghosts leave once their horn is released. But Japanese ghosts, the scariest thing about them is there's no reason. We don't know why they haunt us. We don't know why they follow us. We don't know how to stop them. They just exist. Their growth doesn't need to be rational. They raise without cause. They curse without reason. Scarily, the growth doesn't necessarily have to be a solvable grievance. Japanese ghosts are often portrayed as inexplicable, uncontrollable, and uncompromising forces of terror. Why is that? Some say that the reason is that, due to their nature of not revealing their true feelings, the emotions they cannot express end up becoming ghosts and appearing to the world. Others say that it is related to Japan's geographical characteristics. It is said that this stems from the closeness as an island nation, isolation from other cultures, and natural disasters that strike without warning. Perhaps the Japanese projected their experience of senseless disasters into the form of ghosts. That's why Japanese ghosts remain as pure embodiments of fear, approaching silently with no backstory or emotion. Korea, China, and Japan, 3 countries with different cultures and very different ghosts. Yet, there's a surprising commonality. In all 3 countries, the central character of ghosts is women. Like the nude women depicted in Western paintings, women are the most fascinating ghosts because they simultaneously stimulate fear and curiosity. But behind that lies a social reality. Lady ghosts, fox spirits, yoge, sadako. They are not just spooky figures. They are symbols born of unspoken feelings, anger, and injustice, especially from women. For thousands of years in patriarchal societies, they were silenced, pushed out of the narrative, and finally, they returned as ghosts. These ghosts were warnings, acts of resistance, and truths that came too late. Well, so just think about it. How scary would it have been for humans if a socially disadvantaged woman died and returned as a ghost? Ghosts may have been a device to protect human morality before our society became enlightened. On the other hand, ghosts also reflect human guilt. Asian ghosts are mirrors of our society and the shadows we try to ignore. Were you scared? Perhaps what's truly terrifying isn't the ghost, but the world that turns people into them. Summer Horror Special. Ghost 3 Kingdoms: Korea, China, Japan. On this summer night, I bid you farewell with a chill in the air. This was Yaya Kim. Good night.